As a salesman at one point in his life, author Dale Carnegie made his sales territory the national leader for the firm he worked for. Carnegie eventually ended his sales career and taught public speaking, earning up to $500 every week, the equivalent of $11,800 today. Even Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors of the 20th century, took Carnegie's course at age 20. Fortunately for us, all the same lessons were packaged into the now famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. The only way we can get a person to do anything is by giving them what they want. What do most people want? Health, food, sleep, money, and sex. Most of these wants are usually gratified, but there is one longing, almost as deep and ingrained as the desire for food or sleep, that is seldom gratified: the desire to be important. We take the people in our lives for granted so often that we neglect to let them know we appreciate them. We must remember the difference between appreciation and flattery, which seldom works with discerning people, as it's shallow, selfish, and insincere. Flattery comes from the tongue, appreciation comes from the heart. Day in and day out, we spend most of our time thinking about ourselves. But if we stop thinking about ourselves for a bit and start thinking about other people's strengths, we wouldn't have to resort to cheap flattery, and we could offer honest, sincere appreciation. With words of true appreciation, we have the power to completely change another person's perception of themselves, improve their motivation, and be a driving force behind their success. When you think about it like that, when we have nothing to lose and only positive outcomes to gain, why wouldn't we offer genuine appreciation more often? Perhaps your favorite dessert is strawberry cheesecake. Excellent choice. Now, if you were to go fishing, would you bait your hook with cheesecake? Of course not. That's what you like, but fish prefer worms. Lloyd George, Great Britain's Prime Minister during World War I, who stayed in power long after the other wartime leaders had been forgotten, was asked how he remained on top. His response? He had learned that it's necessary to bait the hook to suit the fish. In other words, give people what they want, not what you want. This principle is absolutely key in influencing others. To convince someone to do something, we have to frame it in terms of what motivates them. And to do that, we must be able to see things from their point of view and our own. Most salespeople spend a lifetime selling without seeing things from the customer's angle, wondering why they're unsuccessful as they completely ignore the customer's needs. If we can put aside our own thoughts, opinions, and wants, and truly see things from another person's perspective, we can convince them it's in their best interest to do whatever it is we're after. We are often tempted to argue with others, especially when we are absolutely convinced we are right about something. But even if we are right, what does arguing about it yield? Why prove someone else wrong? Is that going to make the person like us? Why not just let him save face, if we have nothing to gain from it but feeling superior? Not to mention, 9 times out of 10, arguing just results in the other person even more firmly convinced that he's right. According to Carnegie, it's impossible to win an argument. If we lose the argument, we lose. If we win the argument, we have made the other person feel inferior, hurt his pride, and made him resent us. In other words, we still lose. What if, instead of arguing with someone, we admit their importance through appreciation? This can expand the other person's ego, so he can then become sympathetic and kind. To keep a disagreement from becoming an argument, we can welcome the disagreement. If the other person is raising a point we haven't considered, we can be thankful it's brought to our attention. It may save us from making a mistake. Distrust our first instinctive impression. Our natural reaction to a disagreeable situation is to become defensive. We should keep calm and watch out for how we first react. Control our temper. Only negative outcomes result from a bad temper. Listen first. We can give our opponents a chance to talk without interrupting and let them finish without resisting, defending, or debating. Look for areas of agreement. Surface those first. Be honest. Look for areas where we can admit errors and apologize for our mistakes. This helps reduce defensiveness. Promise to think over our opponent's ideas and study them carefully. And mean it. Thank our opponents sincerely for their interest. If they're taking time to argue with us, they're interested in the same things we are. Postpone action to give both sides time to think about the problem. In the meantime, ask ourselves honestly if our opponents might be right, or partly right. Next time you disagree with someone, don't respond with criticism or a negative email. Instead, sleep on it. You'd be surprised how much perspective you can gain by giving yourself time to consider the situation. Next time you have a conversation, pay attention to how much of the conversation you are talking versus the other person talking. How much listening are you doing? Aim to do 75% listening and 25% talking. As you practice this, pay attention to what causes you to jump in with more talking. Are you filling awkward silences? Do you tend to get carried away when you tell stories or share ideas? Think of ways to encourage the other person to do more of the sharing. Find someone who doesn't appear to be having a good day, perhaps a demotivated colleague, an overworked waitress, or a man selling newspapers on the corner. Go out of your way to offer words of kindness to that person through a genuine compliment. Aim to do this at least once every day. Next time you find yourself becoming frustrated or disagreeing with another person's perspective, stop yourself from shaking your head and adjust how you phrase your opinion. No, you're wrong. Instead say, "Why do you see it that way?" No, that's the wrong way to tackle. Instead say, "Why do you think that's the best option to pursue?" You might even ask the other person for permission to share your perspective on the matter, which readies the other person to listen to your ideas in a less critical mindset. No one likes to take orders. What if, instead of telling people what to do, we gave them the opportunity to do things themselves, to learn from their own mistakes? Instead of saying, "Do this," or "Don't do that," we should more often say, "You might consider this," or "Do you think that would work?" We long remember brash orders we've been given, times we've been screamed at, even if they were done to correct a bad error. But if we ask questions that allow people to correct errors themselves, we save their pride and give them a feeling of importance. Asking questions also stimulates creativity, leading to new ideas and better solutions. To be an effective leader, keep these guidelines in mind when it's necessary to change attitudes or behavior. Number 1, be sincere. Don't promise anything you can't deliver. Number 2, know exactly what you want the other person to do. Number 3, be empathetic. Ask yourself what it is the other person really wants. Number 4, consider the benefits that person will receive from doing what you suggest. Number 5, match those benefits to the person's wants. Number 6, when you make your request, put it in a form that will convey to the other person the idea he will personally benefit. It is naive to think that by implementing these techniques, we'll always get the outcome we desire. But most people's experience shows that we are more likely to change attitudes with these approaches than by not using these principles. Even if we increase our success by a mere 10%, we have become 10% more effective leaders than before. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content just like this.